Hello, product people. Welcome to the Product for Product podcast, hosted by Matt Green, data advocate and product manager, and Musha Mikanovsky, product leader and author. Our goal is to serve the product community by helping you find products that can help make your work in product management easier. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Product for Product podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. On today's episode, Michelle and I are happy to be speaking with founder and CEO of Arkhet, Nathan Ngai. Let's dive in. How you doing, Nathan?
Hey, good, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Hey, Michelle.
Hey Matt, hey Nate. Welcome to the show. Great having you here. And I believe you're coming all the way from Vancouver, which is where I met your team at Web Summit recently.
Yeah, at Web Summit, and we're at the beta program, and then we're presenting, and then that's where we met.
Yeah. So we love talking with founders of startups in the early stages to learn what people are working on to help product people like us. I had a lot of questions, but I kept them for the show as well.
Yeah, awesome. Hopefully I can answer them all.
Yeah. So let's start with telling us a bit about your background. How did you get to build a product for product people?
Sure, yeah. So right now, I'm a founder of Arkhet, and been building this for a year now. But before that, I've been doing product design for over a decade. And most of my career, it's focused on, I'm really known as a workshop guy and a discovery guy. And I did a lot of workshop and discovery. And it was great, it was fun. And then did a bunch of discovery workshop at like NBA, NHL, NFL with the startup. But yeah, that's most of my background, doing a lot of discovery, a lot of workshopping. Since we do a lot of discovery, it means I do a lot of prototyping. So then we do like design sprints, we're doing like a lot of validation work. And when AI first came out, I was pretty excited. I'm like, whoa, like it's like, no, it's AI. It's like, it's great. I don't have to do prototyping anymore. And then it seemed like it was very underwhelming because it's like you gotta like prompt into this box. And then as a designer, I hate it. I hate the whole experience. I thought this couldn't be the future of product design or building products. Yeah, so I went on this journey of like working on Argit, talking to a lot of people, doing a lot of discovery, figuring out that hey, there is a problem there that's worth solving. And that's how I got started with Arkit, and that's how I got started with everything here.
Amazing. And I actually remember when we talked with we had a series probably a couple of years ago,
Mm.
and we talked about wireframing and prototyping. And I think at the end of that series and in many of the episodes there, we were saying probably the next wave is going to be somehow AI is building or designing for you or helping you with
Mhm.
design. So that was like right at the cups of AI becoming what it is today. So it is interesting to see from people that have tried what is coming up, got underwhelmed, and decided to build something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially like that's my full-time job or part of it, which is like prototyping and yeah, I'm really excited about this. But and it's like you probably know how prototyping is like. You gotta move the pixels by hand in Figma and like do everything by hand, and then you gotta change every single text. And with AI, it's definitely a game changer. But I think the way that we're approaching it right now, it's not the right way. At least with the whole prompt engineering approach, it's definitely not the
Mhm.
right way to go about it.
I've seen that a lot more in the product chatter, I guess, with Lovable and Replit and some of these other products where it's like, hey, just put in a prompt and it's going to spit out an application. I've dabbled in this. I just think when you do the prompt and then you go to like it creates an application, you have to keep iterating on it over and over and over and over. So it sounds like with Arkit, you kind of have something like you already have like a flow or something like that, something to start, and then you can provide that to the AI to like start with. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so
Yeah.
maybe tell us how Arkit is working. How is it
Yeah.
different from the prompt type of products?
Yeah, for sure. I could start by talking about the current way of doing it with in the Marco Lobo or Bold.new and Replit and our competitors. And it's all pretty much the same. It's prompt engineering. You describe what you want in a box and text box, and then you get something back. But most of the time it's like, all right, it's 70% of the way there, it's not quite there yet. And then you're going back and forth, you're prompting back and forth. And then it's like the AI wouldn't really get you 200%. A lot of times it stays at 70 or 80%. It would change something. It's like, hey, it changes one button and then it will change everything else. And
Hmm.
that's pretty much the experience. And for us, how we're different. is that we let people prompt visually. And what I mean by that is we let people build wireframes and we let people put prompts on top of the wireframe. And how that's different is you
Mhm.
give people way more control over what they want to build. And there's way more intention in how you're thinking about product. And the thing that I don't like about how we're approaching it with AI is that AI fills in a lot of the gaps. And if we're building products, a lot of times we know exactly what we want. If we're working at, let's say, a product company, there's PRDs, there's requirements, you have an existing product. And this might be because of the rise of vibe coding. There's a lot of people talking about vibe coding, and you just
Hmm.
build something. And I think it's great for that. If you don't know what you want, sure, AI could fill in the gaps. But a lot of times you work at a product company, you know exactly what you want, what the interaction is that you want to test, and you test it. And by building this through a wireframe, we give you precise control on how that interaction and user flow should work.
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen those prompting and build something you don't really know how it will work
Mm,
done by many people that just never built products before. And because they never built products before, they don't know what it takes to actually build it and what are different patterns. And they didn't fail with different patterns or learn different patterns and stuff like that. So to them, whatever the machine puts out seems like quite amazing. And also it cost them nothing, almost nothing. But I like what you said, and I want to maybe to dive a bit more, and maybe you can take us through a process how it actually works. Maybe an example of if I want to build X, what would you do in Arkhet? What you said about prompting on a visual. So you
mm.
create a visual of the wireframe and then you prompt on that. So tell us how that works.
Yeah, for sure. So our interface is really, it feels like any, at least the first part, it feels like a wireframing tool. So then you're just building a wireframe. And on the left-hand bar or sidebar, there's a drag and drop toolbar. So you drag and drop a button, text box, or all the components. We have most of the components. So with that, it's just way easier to drag and drop a component and name it and put it in the right spot than to prompt engineer it. So instead of like describing, hey, I want a text box on the right, it says next, and then this goes to here, so describing all that, you just drag and drop a text box or a button and then call it next, and that's it.
Like we used
And
to do in a wireframing system anyway.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
And with that, once you build your wireframe, once you hook it up, you could highlight certain areas of the wireframe and describe what you want. For example, let's say you lay out a page that's like a calculator and then you can hook it all up. So we could highlight that section and say that, hey, when people do this, let's say when people press this number and that number, it adds up to this number. And then I could add a layer of functionality and interactivity on top of the wireframe. And once you have that, you just click generate and we pass all that to the AI and then we built the entire thing for you. And it's fully functional, it's in code, and then you get the actual wireframe of it.
I see. So basically, we know, the components that we want to have in there because we have that experience, and
Mm.
we know how to use some other wireframing systems, so we can still do that here. But then for the logic of the prototype, because at the end it will build a prototype, not an actual product, right? Or maybe it will eventually build a product as well, like some other Lovable, etc., are claiming they're building. Is that the goal, by the way?
I think that's a long-term goal, but our short-term goal is to really serve product people and help the prototyping. And there's
Mm,
all these features in Lovable, V0 Bolt that they have that we don't need. And it's like we don't need the whole like databasing infrastructure, all that. And we just want to provide a prototype. And
yeah,
we just want to let people ideate really quick,
yeah, yeah,
which means that, hey, we should let them, let's say, move the wireframe around, generate another
yeah.
prototype, or move things around in prototype phase, or so the wireframe, and then just move things around really quick. So right now, we're really focused on serving product people and not just
Mhm.
vibe coders, not people that's building full-on
Hmm.
application.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So again, basically, I know what I want to look. I have this picture in my head, and I put it like as a wireframe, and then I want to create some logic, and that's sometimes the complexity in the prototyping systems. That logic is hard to do because you have to create a lot of different wireframes and connect them, and make sure the data goes across and stuff like that. And that's actually one of my biggest pet peeves with designers.
Mm,
Listen to that, designers, if you're here listening to this, is that they copy and paste the same text and it never makes sense because once when you move across the prototype, things are changing and you want to show the user that are changing. But now it's the same text from the first page, and I'm like, something actually happened here in the
mm,
process. You know what I mean? So I was always like annoyed when designers did not pay attention to these details in the prototypes.
mm,
But what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me that what I would do, it will create this prototype based on the flow that I'm giving it and based on this logic that I'm telling it that I want,
mm.
and that it will create a prototype for me. So I got it right?
Yes, that's how it works, and I do understand what we're talking about because I have been a designer, and
Oh, that's
what
right.
you're just yeah, and what you're describing, it's like they when they do in Figma, they gotta change every single pixel, every single screen, and
Hmm.
that's my frustration as well.
Yes.
And for me, when I was doing prototyping at this company, it was a data company, so we have to change the exact numbers. So then we have this dashboard, and then people look at the numbers. And then even though the design, the interaction look is right, people get really hung up on the numbers because it's like, no, my numbers are like that, or this number plus that number isn't right. So then you really gotta pay attention to details.
Yes.
And it's really annoying if you do it in Figma, do it by hand. So hopefully we can solve that problem with AI. There's like logic involved. So hopefully we could solve that problem for designers
Yes.
and product managers.
Because you will tell it this is the logic I want here. And then you can see also, but does it work, doesn't work. So it's almost like pseudocode or your story that you might put like accept this criteria for your story. Maybe actually from that eventually you will write stories as well.
Yeah, hopefully that would be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Arkhet takes in the wireframes, it's also accounting for the actual journey as well that you've done through your design sprint.
Yeah, so yes, we let you wireframe more than one wireframe. So then
Hmm.
we let you hook it up. The experience is very similar to Figma, where it's like when you click on this button, we let you drag an arrow to the next page.
Mm.
So we let you build that flow, that interaction, and that journey. So like multiple wireframes, hook it all
Yeah.
up, and then you can even like drop a prompt on top of like how this should interact if you want. Typically, when you drag an arrow, it means that when you click here, it goes to that next page.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm,
Do you
mhm.
have an integration with Figma or are you working towards that?
We're working towards that. And
Yeah.
one thing that we're doing is we also let people upload their style guide.
Hmm.
And with their
Gotcha.
style guide, anything that we generate will look like your product. So I think a lot of tools right now in the market, they're still not quite there yet, where it's like you could generate something, but it doesn't look like your product. For
Hmm.
us, we want to make sure that, hey, anything they generate is personalized to your product. We're using your colors, your fonts, your components, and we're building a Figma integration there, where if you
Yeah.
have all your style guide there, will you push it from Figma into Arkit?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Mhm,
When we had that series about wireframing, we had an episode about Figma, we had an episode about Balsamic, we
mhm,
had an episode about Miro. Now, they're very different three products for wireframing, and most people gravitate toward Figma. I still
mhm,
think that Figma is an overkill for wireframing, and
Hmm.
you might appreciate as a designer what I'm telling you that I've seen many designers that don't do wireframes. They go directly to the high fidelity and they're missing that part in the process, even though they know that they should do it. So I think, and that's actually why Balsamic is the one that don't want to do any high fidelity or even low fidelity because they don't want you to skip that part, etc. That's why I actually gravitate to Miro because in Miro you have all of those components and it's easy and you don't need all the extra lots of feature to learn on Figma and how to navigate in Figma.
Yeah.
So my question actually, originally I had in mind to ask you if you also can import or think about importing wireframes from other systems, whether it is Figma, if you have the integration with Figma or Balsamic or Miro, whatever it is, or even if I draw it on a paper and you scan it, right? Or something like that, because why not? But I don't know what have you found when you talked with users that already might use some of those systems? especially Figma or others, about their ability to adapt to a new place where they define the wireframes, or whether they actually wanted to bring from other places.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And our initial concept actually is to just upload a hand-drawn wireframe, and then we could convert that into an actual prototype. And it didn't work really well. And what I mean by that is when you make a box, we're not quite sure if that's a button, a text box, or a square, or we're not quite sure what that is. So there's a lot of context that is lost. And in the
Mm,
future, we might think about like maybe doing integration with like Miro or other wireframing tools. But right now, we're trying to make it a goal, at least internally with the team. What goal we're trying to hit is we're trying to be the best wireframing tool. And of course, we don't want to be positioned as a wireframing tool in the market. But internally with the team, we're telling the team that hey, we're going to be the best wireframing tool. Even if you don't generate prototypes, you could still build high quality wireframes, show a team, use it as a wireframing tool, and it's completely free. And then if you do want to generate, that might be when it costs you money. But we also want to be really good at building wireframes as well.
that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, positioning wise, there is the competition out there and what people are using already.
Mm,
But I definitely like the how you started it, the perspective of I'm prompting on a visual versus just prompting in the air and
Hmm.
without any visual context. So that approach I really, really like. Um, and we also had an episode in the past about design systems, and you
mm.
mentioned the design style guide. But I think when I saw a demo of Arkhet, you actually call it design system in there, right?
Yeah, I think it's I know there's some nuances, but yeah, we use it interchangeably, and we're still trying to figure out a word that resonates with our customers. And
Mm,
honestly, not a lot of people really know like the difference between style guide and design system, and maybe we just call it like style or something to
mm.
keep it really simple. But yeah, like we do let you upload something on there like your style. Yeah.
Maybe eventually, if you generate code from it, if you
Hmm.
get to the place of generating code, then it would be more of a design system.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, where if it is just the look and feel, then it's probably more a style guide.
Yep, absolutely. Totally agree. And we're still trying to do some discovery around this on what's the best way to name it and position it, or even like frame the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the point, even going back to what you said earlier in the conversation around that last 20% getting from the vibe coding of like I do want to do prompt engineering
Hmm.
to that last 20%. I think that last like 20 is like critical because as a user of those tools, you enter something and you like the output changes something else. So like you're always seem to be chasing that last 20%. And so I like the way you're approaching it from we're closing that gap basically
Mm.
for product teams. Like at the end of the day, you're trying to produce something that is not you're not really necessarily vibe coding inside the company. So it's closing that last 20%. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I could talk about this a bit more, because I didn't really mention this feature here. But so we'll let you wireframe the entire thing and then pass that to the AI and we build it. And usually it's 100% or maybe 9% of the way there. And let's say
Hmm.
like, hey, I have this prototype. It's not quite there yet. It's still missing something. Maybe I forgot to add something in the wireframe or maybe it just came out wrong. We let you pretty much highlight the section of the prototype and add a prompt on top of it. So you're not describing like, hey, like that thing on the middle, like
That's
that
it.
header. It's like no, that thing, like change that. So that we just let you highlight the actual page, the actual interface. So we could let you drop multiple prompts on top of of the prototype and describe what changes you want. Maybe it's a text, maybe it's like, hey, I change the order, or like, hey, that thing,
Hmm.
the wireframe, it didn't really come out the way I want it. Can you just change like the flow or whatever, or add more interactivity on top? So we
Mhm.
always let you add a bit more after that, after you get the prototype.
That's perfect. That way you're not
Mm.
getting the changes, the unintended consequences of like I added a new prompt and now something else has changed. I got to go chase that down. That's pretty cool
Yeah.
having that inline experience.
And I can
Yeah.
see also how collaboration with multiple people at the same time could work very well here. Because you can have people remotely, a designer and developer, and maybe other designers, whatever it is, just looking through it and saying, "Oh, we should do this change, and they just do it on the fly, and everyone see the change as you go."
Yeah, and how we're thinking about this is in the future, we really want this to be um, really in the discovery phase. So let's say you have an ideation workshop, let's say design sprint, and let's say how we do it traditionally, it's great. It's like we have this thing, this wireframe thing. At the end of the day, the designer could go away, do its thing, and come back. Instead of doing that, we could build that prototype in that workshop in just a few minutes, and then we could discuss the actual prototype, the actual details of the prototype, or
Yeah.
even test it out the same day and within the same workshop. So it's not like a designer goes away for another day, build it for like a couple hours, come back, and so we could get the actual prototype like in that workshop. So yeah, it will be cool to like have everyone interact on Arkit, work together, or build something together. And that's sort of like the goal, like make it more collaborative in future.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. I actually recently tried another product competing to Lovable. You might heard about Base 44.
Yeah.
And I also did it with just prompting because I all the prompt I gave to Lovable was very unlovable by me.
Yeah.
And sorry, that was the case. I know a lot of people love it, and
Some of it can be frustrating.
I'm speaking with some product coaches that really love it, and I'm like, sorry, I don't think it's giving you really what you want. As someone that built products in the past, but Base 44, when I tried it, was way better in my opinion with the things that I gave it, and I was able to build something that I tried to build with a team a year ago, and it took a long time and very frustration, and then we dropped it. And in 2 hours, I built something that probably quite similar to what they did. But I had this 10% over there, maybe it was 10% of maybe 15% of things that still frustrated me that I told it one thing and it did another thing and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But my use case was also for something that was not critical to me, so I didn't really care, I guess, if it will do what I want it to do. If this is for work or this is for a startup or this is for something
Hmm.
that you want to build, you really want to have control over it rather than it controls you.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to earlier about that. Like that last 20%, you really need it to work out. Like it's not just vibing for a side project. It's actually like I need to produce work.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, quick question for you. Like you said that base 44 is very lovable, but in what aspect and why do you think that's better? Like and I know like I do somewhat agree that I think it's like better, but I just want to hear from you. Like, what do you think is better about it?
It's just the results that it gave me were much better.
Right.
Yeah, the prompts were quite similar prompts. I didn't do the same prompts. I should have done it. Maybe try both of them at the same time.
Mm.
But the prompts that were quite simple, but I knew what I wanted, so I gave it a bit of details. But I didn't. It wasn't too much, and it gave me something that looks like a product
Mm.
rather than something that looks like a project of first year engineer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm hearing a lot about Lovable, people using Lovable, and I think a lot of people are marketed to it with this idea of like, hey, you just build anything, and then it's like, they
Hmm.
build it, it's not exactly what they want, it looks the same as everyone else's product, and then they'll start looking for alternative solutions like Base 44 or like something else. But I think Lovable does a really good job marketing itself.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it, but if you ask people, like I talk to a lot of designers and a lot of product managers, and I'm not sure why, but everyone's like, yeah, it's not that great. Everyone has tried it, but if you look on LinkedIn or Twitter, people are saying the best thing ever. They raised 200 million. Everyone's raving about it. But if you talk to the people using it, the actual people in product, it's
Yeah.
like, it's not that good.
So we'll
It's like,
see
You
what will
you see a
happen
lot.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
you see a lot of that like these days, like, hey, build a startup, 10 million, ARR within, 24 hours or something like that. Like something silly. Like,
Yeah.
are you being intentional and thinking through the experience and thinking through, like, if you're just putting a prompt in there and getting an output, are you thinking strategically through all the different steps that a user would actually go through? Or are you like
Yeah.
sacrificing some of that to get there quick?
Listen,
Mm,
I'm not advocating for any product here. This is just my personal experience, so I'm biased a bit. And Base 44 also has an amazing story of exit in 6 months. So they sold the company within 6 months for $80 million. So, you know, I
Hmm.
think this is even better than a raise of $200 million. So, it's all at the end of the
Hmm.
day, there is a lot behind these things for sure. Um, cool. Now, do you have any like success stories that you can share with us? Maybe I know that you're very early stages, so you don't have to mention names of clients or anything like that. But how much time did it save to them, or what did they see improvements, etc.
Yeah, so we're pre-launch. The product isn't out in public yet, but we did run a beta. There was like 7 people on beta, and then right now we're running pilots with a couple of customers, and can't really name them just yet. But then what's cool about what we're doing here is at least with the pilot customer is that they're using V0 already. They're using all these other AI tools, yet they're still choosing to use us over these other tools. And it's super cool. It's a company that's a Fortune 500 company. They're like, hey, we definitely see a lot of value in what you do. And it's like, I think everyone's kind of sick of prompt engineering and describing in a text box. So what's really cool is despite having like they paid for a tool already, despite paying for this tool that's like, it's V0, it's like it's probably pretty expensive. We got for the entire team already. And it's a well-funded team. They've been around for a long time, or for at least for the last 2 years, they've been around for, and they pretty much dominate that space. And despite that, they're still choosing us, a startup, over that.
Hmm.
So I would say that's one of the
That's a very
best
good
success.
sign.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a
I
very
mean,
good sign.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned about people are tired of the prompts and results. We talked about that in our last episode as well,
Yeah.
with another founder, and that's exactly it. I think that we also mentioned it, so we probably will continue to mention it. This will be a horse I will ride on, where the pattern of prompt and result as a very long description that you have to read through. Even if it organizes it for you very nicely and give you tables and all that stuff, it's still output that you have to consume. And it's not the right design for every problem these days. And it seems like a lot of companies, they do AI and they just do that
Mm.
versus do the right thing based on what it makes sense and make AI more of in the background that will do the hard part, but will distill the things that you actually need. This the same I think resonates probably with your clients.
Yeah, so I think that prompting, it's definitely going to stay. I think it's great if the output is text. If you're writing a LinkedIn post, an essay,
You
like
need
an
the text
article,
if that's what
it's
you need.
great. Yeah, but I think if we're designing a product, it could never get a single page of like user interface right, let alone a series
Hmm.
of complex interactions. And it's just so hard to describe everything on one single page.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think it does a really bad job at it. And I've been doing a lot of custom discovery, and I think it gets even worse because people are like, hey, like I want like a prompt template. So I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want websites like this, give me the prompt so I can insert this into Lovable. And then it's like you're just going from one AI tool to another and say, hey, grab me a prompt somewhere, insert it somewhere else, and then great, I build a product. And it's not very intentional. I think we talked about this already. I think building products, I think there's a lot of intention involved in how you want the actual
Hmm.
interaction should be. And I think that's sort of like why the job of a designer exists and even a product manager. And if you're just guessing, it's like, hey, let's just have a AI fill in that interaction for me. I'm not quite sure what it is. I think if you're a product person, you're not really doing your job. It's like, hey, let's get something random. And it's the same as it feels like it's the same as getting a random template off the internet, and you could do this already. And I've seen this a lot on LinkedIn. It's like someone would generate something on Lovable or Bolt or whatever, and then there's always some guy that would comment, "How is this different than grabbing a template on the internet?"
Mm.
Because it's like if you're just getting a random dashboard, there's many templates on the internet that gives you that dashboard,
yeah,
and it's like why generate that if it's not
yeah,
intentional?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something that Michelle and I have talked about over time is, we haven't always had it ourselves as a designer on our team. As product managers, we often become designers, in some way. So where do you think like all this is kind of going for the design role? When it comes to vibe coding, prompt engineering, making these for the team and helping the product manager out and helping the team out. Where do you see that in the future?
Man, that's a really good question. We're still trying to figure this out, but
Hmm.
my perspective right now, honestly, it feels like nothing much would change. Of course, AI could help facilitate a lot of workflows. It's like you're spending less time doing all this stuff. But I think the role of a product person and a designer is still needed.
Hmm.
I think they're two very different skill sets. And I think there's just too much work for that one person to take on like everything. And sure, you could like as a product person, it's like sure you could automate a lot of things like writing tickets or like PRDs or all those other stuff. But I think I think a lot of the work comes from really like talking to customers and extracting that insight. And I think that requires perspective. And I think it's good. It's always good to work with a product manager that gives you that product perspective, and even a designer from that like the whole like design perspective, how it works, interaction. I think they're both needed. And sure, it's like can one person do the job? I would say probably, but I think it'll be better if you have both a designer and a product person working on it. Because the question I get a lot of time is, would the two role merge? And
Hmm.
I think a lot of people want to cut down on resources or people or headcount. And it's like great with AI because like I like cut out product managers and designers. And I think that's the wrong way of approaching it. I think with AI tools, you could build better products, you could talk to more customers, you could get that output quicker, those prototypes quicker. And I think it's not about cutting down resources, but increasing output or at least outcome.
It levels up the designer. Yeah, because you see that like with
Yeah.
in the engineering community as well.
Mm.
Obviously, a lot of AI is writing code these days. There's that. What will engineers do in the future? Will there be a need for engineers? Yeah, I think there is, but it levels up their game and gives them an opportunity to like take that next step and actually they themselves can talk to customers and they themselves can like learn the product and the business more and not just have to like write code all day. So
Yeah.
I think it levels up everyone's game.
I absolutely agree. And then I think the discussion right now, it's like, hey, and that product trio, like who's going to absorb whose role, I think eventually, I think far out in the future, maybe it'll ladder up to that one role, like a product person that can design, do product and do the whole like development. But I don't think we're there anytime soon. I think it's still needed, the whole product trio thing, it's still needed. I think it's very hard for one person to like set up like just everything. Like you're like doing pretty much the coding and then you're talking to customers and you're designing it and then you're really got like size the market and then you're doing everything. It's just a lot that you gotta do, and I don't think it's feasible right now, I think.
Sounds
Yeah.
exhausting. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
like, hey, go build this thing, go talk to customers, go to the business and go to market, ship it, get
Mm.
it out the door. That
Well,
sounds pretty
as
Yeah.
exhausting.
as Marty Kagan always, teach us, it's about value and viability for the product person and usability for the designer. Now, it doesn't mean that only the designer should do usability. If the product manager has or the engineer has ideas about how it could be usable in better ways, then it's a collaborative way. So this team triage can do all of that. And that's where the tools can actually help them. And that's why I'm going back also to collaboration. I also worked in the past with designers that didn't want me to collaborate with them. They wanted to get my inputs. They will take their time to work on it. They will come back to me and show me what they designed. And I'm like, I have ideas too. Why can't we just collaborate on it on on the meeting instead of like me giving you, all of these back and forth, right? So the way I see it is actually designers should use Arkhet as well to build the wireframes and to build the mockups, the prototypes within the product people. I don't see a reason why not.
Yeah, actually, initially our target market, our ICP, was designer. Since I'm a designer, it's like great, I'm building this tool for myself. And what we realize, at least at this point, is I think designers really love Figma, and so do I. I like Figma too. I could just create everything by hand, get a lot of control. And it feels like designers don't really want to use an AI tool. And I think there are designers who are very senior that don't want to do the whole pixel pushing. They don't want to be in Figma anymore. I think that's who we're for. But I think generally a lot of designers are really against learning new tools or new design tools, or even with
Mm.
AI feels like, hey, it might be replacing us. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's why we exist. We're not here to replace designers. But I think well, with you're probably hearing this a lot as well. Like on Lenny's podcast, people talk about AI prototyping. Everyone has been talking about this in last year or so. And then just us talking to product managers, it seems like hey, there's a big market there because it seems like PMs they want a prototype, and everyone's talking about it, and that's why I did like a slight pivot. But eventually, I do agree we should be targeting designers later on. But I think once we get everything right, we could slowly pivot back and target designers.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
Mm.
As you were talking about that, I was thinking, designers, there's an art to it, obviously, and there's probably a personal like attachment to it. I can, Misha, as an engineer, like probably some personal attachment to code you write. There's an art of creation probably in there. Product managers are glue, and we create value, and we do create things, but we're not writing the code, and we're not always making the design. So yeah, I wonder if there's like a personal level of like, oh, I can't go use one of these tools because it's gonna like sacrifice my artist capabilities or something.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a lot of this I think it's because designers went to school to design. And
Hmm.
it feels like, hey, why am I using this tool? That's like it kind of replaces what I'm supposed to do. I
Right.
think with product managers, I think most product managers they're not really in Figma, and I don't think they like Figma very much. To me, Figma it's pretty easy to use, but if you never use any design tools, it's really hard. It's like especially you probably don't know what all layout should do or how it works, and then for designers they gotta learn too. So it's like it feels like Figma is very hard to learn, but they still want a prototype. So I think that's
yeah,
why we see a
yeah,
lot of product managers using these new AI tools coming up, like
Yeah.
Replit or Lovable or Bolt.
yeah.
And I think that's why it's like seems like there's a huge market for
Hmm.
people that just want to like prototype and not do the whole other stuff that Bolt is doing or
Yeah.
Lovable is doing.
For sure.
That's why I always gravitated to Miro because I thought Figma is overkill for wireframing,
Mm,
and FigJam wasn't there for wireframing at all. And Miro did a pretty decent job. They did release recently some AI that make the wireframing into some prototypes, so maybe you should look into that
mm.
if you have not into that yet. I didn't try it, so I don't know if it is with prompting or just like I have to do the full wireframing and it will just put some pretty face on it, right? But there is definitely some other places that are playing with that.
Yeah, I like Lucidchart, for prototyping diagrams and stuff because I like to keep it simple. Like I think Figma's pretty, but like it's a level of bloat in there that I don't particularly need as a product manager.
Mm.
So I typically will like a more simple product that like gets me what I want pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can see why designers and stuff obviously gravitate to it.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, on a because you just reminded me of like flow charts and everything. We actually start from there as well. Like the first ideation of it, it's like, oh, let's instead of like letting people build prompts, let's have people build flow charts. That way,
Hmm.
it's like on a high level like journey, like this is how it should work. But with that, we couldn't get the details right of like how it should work, like with the details, the interaction. But funny enough, we actually started there. It's like, hey, let's have people build this entire flow and just generate an actual prototype of it. But
Hmm.
yeah, just side tangent, like we were thinking about that initially, and then we pivoted to like wireframing, like sketching it. But anyways, it's just
Yeah.
side tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love flows and
Yeah.
diagrams and stuff because I'm a very visual learner, and you could write the best PRDs and documents ever, but if you actually
Mm.
show somebody like a flow chart, to me it's way more intuitive to people that don't know the space as much. So yeah, so I typically start there and like draw it out.
Hmm. Amazing. I don't think I have any other questions. But what about you, Matt?
I was just wondering about the future of design. I personally don't have a designer, but I have worked with designers in the past, and so as product people, as product managers, it will be curious to see the future as AI becomes more integrated into our work and how those different roles between designer, PM, and engineer kind of like mingle together. So I'm glad we were able to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm optimistic about it. I think it'll still be around. Hopefully, PMs and designers will still be around.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah, I think they will. Amazing. Thank you so much, Nate. Where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm mostly on LinkedIn, so find me on LinkedIn. I'm always there. I'm posting almost every day, so you can find me on LinkedIn.
Great. Thanks so much, Nate, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Michelle, as always. Thank you to all the listeners, and we'll talk to everybody next time. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the listeners. We really appreciate the feedback and support. Please leave us a review to help others find the show on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else you're listening to the show.